Hey everyone, welcome to this lecture. In this lecture, we are going to discuss regarding the cybersecurity overview. So first, we'll look into what is cybersecurity. Then we'll talk about the key cybersecurity concepts. We'll talk about the common cyber threats that is available in the industries now. We'll talk about the various cybersecurity measures which you must take as a security engineer or network administrator, and what are the different cybersecurity domains you have, right? So let's get started. So first of all, let's talk about what is cybersecurity. So let's take out the notes, and I will be giving this notes in your handout section, so it will be easy for all of you to refer. So here we go. Let's talk first with this term as the beginner thing. What is cyber security? Now, as we know that cybersecurity is it's a practice, right? So it's a practice of protecting various systems, networks, and data, the user traffic, right? From various cyber threats such as hacking, malware, phishing, or any sort of unauthorized access. So cybersecurity always ensures that you should be following the rules and compliance of industry confidentiality, integrity, and availability, which is also sometimes called as CIA triad of information, right? So let me define that for all of you. So as I've informed or said here, that cybersecurity is the art, or you can say practice, of protecting systems, networks, and data. So data being the organization's bread and butter, right? Data from cyber threats such as any type of external or internal hacking, malware, phishing, and any type of unauthorized access, right? It ensures confidentiality, integrity, and availability, which is also sometimes referred to this as CIA triad of information. Okay, so ensure that your networking configurations, your networking hardwares, whatever you implement to your organization, always with respect to security feature, it should be maintaining the concept of the CIA triad, right? So your data should not be too much available, or it should not be too much of confidentiality, or might not be with too much of integrity. So there should be a balance between the CIA triad components, right, which we will talk about in further terms and topics, etc. So this is very overview terms, so you should be knowing what is the basic of a CIA triad. So CIA triad consists of three important components: confidentiality, integrity, and availability, and ensure that there has to be a balance between all of these three components in CIA triad. All right, so the next topic that I want to talk is key cybersecurity concepts. Key cybersecurity concepts. Okay, so first thing that comes to the mind is confidentiality. That is the first thing that you should be thinking upon. So confidentiality, it means you are going to ensure that data is only accessible to authorized user. So if I'm an authorized user to access certain data, then the data that will be applicable for me to access, only that particular data will be made available to me. Okay, so I as a user, I should not be made available to all the data. That means I should have least privilege access as well, plus only whatever required data that I should be there to access, only that data should be given to me. Okay, so ensuring that data is accessible to only authorized users. That's confidentiality. Next term would be integrity, or next concept would be integrity, right? So integrity, let me use colon over here as well. Integrity is basically you can define it where you can protect the data from being altered or being tampered with some other malformed components, right? So let us say I'm sending a piece of data from point A to point B. That piece of data, the authenticity of the data should be maintained across the journey from point A to point B, right? So there should not be any sort of tampering done or any sort of forgery done with this particular data. In case if it is done, then the authenticity of the data is lost, right? The original authenticity of that particular data will be lost, right? So the process by which you can protect the data, from being altered or tampered is called as integrity, right? And there are various integrity based algorithms which your networking components will use. For example, SHA, for example, MD5 hashing algorithms. So they will be managing the integrity of the data. Okay, availability is the third concept that you should be knowing. So it ensures the data and services are accessible whenever there is a need, right? So it should not be made available every time. So whenever there is a requirement, then only the data and this services should be available. Okay, it should not be made open to public as well. Okay, what I mean. So ensure that, or ensuring data and services are accessible when required or needed. Okay, next is your authentication. The next concept is authentication. So it's a very simple thing to understand that authentication means verifying the user identity by using some credentials such as username, password, biometrics, etc. So how do you verify a user identity, right? If the user is the right user who is trying to access a particular data. So the process of identifying that particular user is called as authentication, right? So verifying user identities is called as authentication. There are multiple ways by which you can do that. By example, username slash password, then biometrics, right, etc. So you can use various authentication mechanism to authenticate the user. Either you can use local database authentication, you can use third party or external authentication, which we will see further down the course. Next term is authorization. So once a user is authenticated, then you should the administrator should grant that user some sort of permission, right, based on its roles or based on its access controls. So based on that permission, the user will be able to access only that required resources, right? Only that required resources. So if I'm a user from sales team, that means I should only access sales related data or sales related folders, let us say. So the administrator should assign only to the sales users the sales related data to be accessible. right? That is called as authorization. That means granting permissions based on roles and access controls. That is called as authorization. Next term is non-repudiation. Non-repudiation, which means that ensuring that it means that actions cannot be denied by the sender or receiver. Okay, so it is a non-repudiated let us say data, right? Or it's a non-repudiated URL, right? So ensure that in that case actions cannot be denied by the sender or receiver. So ensuring actions cannot be denied by the sender or receiver.